Ladies and gentlemen, fear is one of the most powerful forces known to man. It can paralyze us, hold us back, and cause us to miss out on some of the greatest opportunities life has to offer. But let me tell you, this fear is not as mighty as it pretends to be. Fear only has as much power as we give it. Fear often thrives in the shadows of the unknown. When we lack knowledge or understanding, our minds fill in the blanks, often imagining the worst. Confronting fear with knowledge is about shedding light on the shadows, revealing what's really there, rather than what we fear might be. This process begins with facing the things we avoid, those thoughts, situations, or challenges that cause us to hesitate, withdraw, or overthink. The unknown is unsettling because it leaves us vulnerable, stirring up thoughts of worst-case scenarios. It's in this mental gap that fear grows. But when we gain knowledge, we bring clarity to our situations and begin to dismantle the imagined threats. Knowledge changes our perspective. It turns a frightening mystery into a manageable challenge. For example, think about the fear of failure. Many people fear failing because they don't fully understand the process of success. They see only the end result, not the setbacks and lessons that often come before. When we look deeper, we find that most people who achieve great things have faced numerous failures along the way, each one a stepping stone to their success. Knowing this changes how we approach failure, allowing us to see it as part of growth rather than something to fear. Fear also capitalizes on our insecurities, those nagging thoughts about whether we are truly capable, talented, or worthy enough. But when we choose to confront these fears by studying, preparing, and understanding our abilities, we build confidence. Imagine preparing for a job interview. If you go in unprepared, fear will dominate, whispering doubts and filling you with anxiety. But if you invest time learning about the role, understanding the company, and preparing answers to likely questions, knowledge gives you confidence. You can walk into that room assured, not because fear has disappeared, but because you have equipped yourself with understanding. The knowledge you've gained allows you to navigate the situation more effectively, transforming it from an overwhelming challenge to a solvable problem. Even in relationships, misunderstandings often breed fear and anxiety. When we don't know what someone else is thinking, we can start to imagine what's wrong or assume the worst. But when we open ourselves to honest communication and seek to understand, we bring knowledge into the relationship, clarifying intentions and dispelling fears. This applies to all aspects of life. The more we seek to understand, the less room there is for fear to operate. Knowledge is also powerful in managing health-related fears. When someone faces a health challenge, fear can easily take over because of the unknowns involved. However, when they take time to learn about their condition, possible treatments, and healthy practices, they gain control over their own health journey. This doesn't mean fear will vanish, but knowledge equips them to make informed decisions, shifting the experience from one of helplessness to one of empowerment. We must also understand that fear itself is a reaction from the mind signaling caution. Rather than ignoring it, we should acknowledge it and allow it to prompt us toward knowledge. In every area, from finances to personal growth, knowledge is the key that unlocks freedom. It grounds us. Fear is often loud and persistent, whispering doubts and insecurities into our minds. It tells us we aren't good enough, smart enough, or capable enough to achieve what we desire. But here's the truth: we don't have to accept fear's voice as the final word. Speaking to our fear means reclaiming the power to define ourselves rather than letting fear do it for us. This isn't about ignoring fear, but about responding to it directly with words of strength, purpose, and truth. When we speak to our fear, we interrupt its hold over us. Imagine fear as an unwelcome guest in your mind, constantly whispering negativity and pessimism. By speaking back to it, you draw a boundary. You're saying, I hear you, but I choose not to believe you. This practice is powerful because over time it reshapes the way we respond to fear. The words we choose to say to ourselves can have an immense impact on our state of mind. Instead of passively letting fear's voice shape our thoughts, we actively create a new narrative, a narrative of courage and purpose. Speaking to fear isn't just about saying anything, it's about speaking with intention and conviction. Affirmations, declarations, and positive self-talk are not just empty words, they have the potential to transform our mindset. When fear says you'll never succeed, you can respond with, I am equipped and I am willing to learn. When fear whispers, what if you fail? Respond with, every step I take brings me closer to my goals. These declarations may feel uncomfortable at first, especially if fear has been in control for a long time, but consistency is key. As we speak these words of strength and hope, we begin to rewrite our internal dialogue. Fear often takes root when we lack confidence in who we are and what we're capable of. By speaking to our fear, we remind ourselves of our values, our potential, and our purpose. This isn't about denying reality or ignoring legitimate challenges. It's about reinforcing the truth that we have the inner resources to face those challenges. Think about someone who is preparing for a major presentation but feels deeply insecure. Fear tells them they're going to mess up or that they're not qualified. But if they take a moment to counteract that fear by affirming, I am prepared and I am capable of delivering this, they're shifting their focus from anxiety to self-assurance. The nervousness may not disappear, but it becomes manageable because they have affirmed their competence. Speaking to fear also involves recognizing and verbalizing our purpose. Fear often arises when we feel uncertain or lack direction, but purpose gives us a sense of grounding. When fear comes, we can respond with statements of purpose. I am here to make a difference. I am working towards a goal. Or I am becoming who I am meant to be. Purpose has a powerful way of displacing fear because it reminds us why we're taking risks and facing challenges in the first place. Purpose aligns us with a cause greater than our doubts. Many of the world's most successful individuals are not without fear. They simply choose to respond to it rather than obey it. Speaking to fear is a choice that each of us can make daily, whether in the face of small challenges or significant life decisions. By making a habit of countering fearful thoughts, we build resilience. Each time we affirm our strength, courage, and values, we chip away at the foundation of fear. Taking action despite fear is one of the most transformative steps we can take in our journey toward growth and purpose. Fear, by its nature, seeks to paralyze and prevent us from moving forward. It fills our minds with doubts, anxieties, and worst-case scenarios, all to keep us in a state of inaction. But courage is not the absence of fear, it is the decision to keep going, even when fear is present. Choosing to act in the face of fear requires us to trust in the value of movement itself, knowing that each step forward, no matter how small, builds resilience and confidence. We wait for the feeling of fear to disappear before we take action. We tell ourselves, I'll do it when I feel ready, or I'll take that step when I feel confident, but readiness is a myth if we're waiting for fear to vanish. Fear doesn't always disappear before we act. In many cases, it diminishes as a result of our actions. When we take action, we give ourselves evidence that we are capable, even if the action is imperfect or the outcome is uncertain. Each step forward weakens fear's grip because we prove to ourselves that we are not controlled by it. Think of a young child learning to ride a bicycle. They may be afraid of falling, but the act of pedaling and balancing is the only way to learn. If they waited until they felt no fear, they would never start. In the process of trying, falling, and getting up again, they build skill and confidence. Similarly, when we move forward despite fear, we often realize that our fears were exaggerated or based on incomplete perceptions. The act of doing reveals truths that thinking alone cannot provide. We learn more about our capabilities, our strengths, and even our areas of improvement, which builds confidence and lessens fear over time. Taking action despite fear is also a declaration of commitment to our goals and dreams. If we truly believe in something, we must be willing to pursue it, even when it's uncomfortable or uncertain. Imagine someone who dreams of starting their own business but is held back by fear of failure. If they take even the smallest step toward their goal, whether it's researching their market, writing a business plan, or connecting with potential mentors, they're actively engaging with their vision. Each action, however minor, brings them closer to realizing that dream, while also giving fear less room to operate. They are proving to themselves that their dreams are worth the discomfort of fear, and each act of commitment reinforces their dedication. There's also a practical benefit to taking action despite fear. When we act, we gain valuable experience and feedback. This feedback is critical because it informs our next steps. If we only theorize and plan, we miss out on the real-world insights that come from doing. Action allows us to see what works and what doesn't, helping us adjust our approach as we go. This feedback loop builds a sense of progress and learning, which can be deeply motivating. With each new piece of experience, fear loses some of its influence because we have learned that even setbacks or mistakes are part of growth. Acting despite fear builds resilience, a quality that allows us to keep going even in the face of future challenges. Resilience is like a muscle. The more we exercise it, the stronger it becomes. When we face fear and move forward anyway, we're training ourselves to handle difficulties with greater calm and focus. We become less likely to be deterred by future fears because we have a track record of facing them. This resilience becomes an asset in all areas of life, enabling us to pursue our purpose with greater determination and endurance. Taking action is also a powerful example to those around us. Often our courage inspires others to confront their own fears and take action in their lives. Just as we look to mentors, friends, or family members who have overcome obstacles, we too can become sources of inspiration when we act despite our own fears. This creates a ripple effect where our bravery encourages others to step out of their comfort zones and pursue their own goals. Recognizing fear as a signal rather than a barrier can completely transform our relationship with it. Many people view fear as a warning to stop or retreat, interpreting it as a sign that something is wrong. But fear, in many cases, is simply an alert that we're stepping into unknown territory, and unknown territory is often where growth occurs. By reframing fear as a signal instead of a stop sign, we begin to see it as a valuable indicator that we are pushing ourselves beyond our comfort zones into areas where learning and transformation can happen. Fear is the mind's way of keeping us safe, attempting to protect us from perceived risks. It's a primal response developed to keep us out of harm's way. But in the modern world, many of the fears we face aren't about physical survival. Instead, they're about emotional or psychological risks, fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown. These fears often arise when we're trying something new, chasing a goal, or stepping toward a dream. Rather than signaling true danger, they're simply markers that we're about to do something that stretches us. By viewing fear as a signal, we learn to approach it with curiosity rather than avoidance. We can ask ourselves, what is this fear trying to tell me often? The answer will lead us to areas where we need growth, preparation, or greater resilience. Recognizing fear as a signal helps us become more intentional in our actions. If fear arises because we lack experience in a particular area, we can respond by acquiring knowledge, building skills, or seeking guidance. For example, if someone feels fear at the prospect of public speaking, this signal may be pointing out that they need more practice, preparation, or confidence building. By responding to fear in this way, we are not avoiding it or being controlled by it. Instead, we are using it as a tool for self-improvement. This approach also helps prevent fear from becoming an obstacle. When we recognize fear as a natural response, we can address the underlying needs that the fear is highlighting. Fear as a signal also helps us develop a balanced approach to risk. Fear can indicate that something requires caution or careful thought, and we shouldn't ignore that. For example, if someone feels uneasy about a financial decision, this fear may be signaling the need for more research or a deeper understanding of the investment. Rather than freezing or retreating entirely, this perspective allows for a calculated response. We can honor the fear by taking prudent steps, ensuring that we're prepared for the potential risks involved. This is particularly useful in scenarios where the stakes are high, as it encourages a thoughtful approach rather than a purely reactive one. By treating fear as a signal, we can also cultivate a sense of mindfulness. When fear arises, we can pause and evaluate the situation rather than reacting impulsively. This pause allows us to assess whether the fear is justified, exaggerated, or simply a reaction to stepping into new territory. Through this reflective practice, we develop a greater understanding of ourselves, our triggers, our insecurities, and our strengths. This self-awareness strengthens our ability to make decisions grounded in wisdom rather than avoidance. We begin to see that fear can coexist with courage. It doesn't have to dominate our choices. This shift in perspective also allows us to experience life with more openness. When we stop viewing fear as a strict barrier, we become willing to explore opportunities we might otherwise avoid. Instead of backing away from an intimidating challenge, we're able to see it as a chance for personal growth. This mindset helps us approach life's uncertainties with a sense of curiosity rather than dread, and it empowers us to embrace change as a natural part of our journey. Fear may arise, but it doesn't hold the authority to dictate our path. We are free to acknowledge it, interpret its message, and proceed with intention. Choosing faith over fear is one of the most empowering decisions we can make. Faith and fear are two powerful forces that shape our lives, but they cannot occupy the same space. Where fear limits us, faith liberates us. Where fear focuses on obstacles, faith focuses on possibilities. Choosing faith over fear is not about ignoring challenges or pretending that difficulties don't exist. It's about trusting that despite the unknowns, we have the strength, resilience, and resources to overcome whatever comes our way. This choice reorients our mindset, aligning us with a vision of hope, purpose, and courage, rather than one of doubt and hesitation. When we choose faith, we begin to focus on what's possible rather than on what could go wrong. Fear has a way of magnifying risks and highlighting our vulnerabilities, making us dwell on all the reasons we might fail. Faith, on the other hand, reminds us that growth often happens in uncertainty. It encourages us to see beyond our immediate limitations and trust in a greater outcome. For instance, an entrepreneur might feel fear about launching a new business due to the risks involved. But if they choose faith, they begin to focus on the potential for success, the positive impact they can make, and the lives they could improve through their work. Faith empowers them to take steps forward with optimism and purpose, transforming the fear of failure into the pursuit of a meaningful vision. Choosing faith over fear also allows us to anchor ourselves in purpose. Fear often leads us to question our direction and second-guess our decisions, creating a sense of confusion and indecision. Faith, however, is rooted in the belief that we are here for a reason, that our lives have meaning, and that our dreams and ambitions are worth pursuing. When we align ourselves with a purpose, we're less likely to be swayed by temporary setbacks or uncertainties. Instead of allowing fear to dictate our choices, we let our purpose guide us, providing clarity and determination. This purpose-driven approach gives us resilience, helping us stay focused on the big picture, even when we face challenges along the way. Faith over fear also fosters a growth mindset, which is crucial for personal and professional development. When we approach life with faith, we view setbacks as opportunities to learn and grow, rather than as reasons to quit. Faith encourages us to believe that no matter the difficulties, we are capable of adapting and finding solutions. In contrast, fear often tells us to avoid situations where failure is a possibility, keeping us confined within our comfort zones. By choosing faith, we allow ourselves the freedom to explore, experiment, and take risks, which are essential for growth. Each challenge becomes a stepping stone, and every experience adds to our resilience and understanding. Choosing faith over fear allows us to inspire others. When people see someone moving forward with faith despite uncertainties, it creates a ripple effect, encouraging others to do the same. Faith is contagious. It gives others permission to believe in their own dreams and to face their own fears. Just as fear can create an atmosphere of doubt, faith creates an atmosphere of hope and possibility. By living with faith, we become examples for others, showing that it's possible to pursue our goals with courage. We demonstrate that although fear is natural, it doesn't have to define our actions or our future. Faith over fear also helps us cultivate gratitude. Fear often causes us to focus on what we lack or what could go wrong. But faith shifts our perspective toward appreciation for what we have and for the opportunities before us. Gratitude is a powerful antidote to fear, as it reminds us of our strengths, our past achievements, and the support we have in our lives. When we choose faith, we're more inclined to appreciate each step of the journey, seeing even small progress as a victory. This gratitude fuels us, keeping us motivated and connected to the positive aspects of our lives rather than dwelling on potential setbacks.